Hello and a very warm welcome to this video and to the studio. My name is Orla and I'm an artist and illustrator. I make work inspired by my love for nature, landscape and the outdoors, and I love to document my creative process and share it through films here on YouTube. In my last video, I kickstarted a brand new collection of paintings, pulling ideas from my research into a series of A5 works on paper. Today I'm going to be working a little bit larger on A3 and pull some ideas from those research paintings and sketches that I have done. I'm working into a brand new collection of paintings inspired by coastal landscapes, and I'm excited to take you along the journey as this collection of paintings develop from start to finish. One of the most joyful things about painting for me is getting lost in the process, loosening up, just having fun and experimenting. For me, this is my flow state, and as I document this collection of paintings develop, I'm going to be sharing a couple of ways that I help myself get into this sense of flow, into that flow state. This video is part of a wider series called Finding Your Flow, and so if you're struggling at the moment to get into that sense of freedom and play, I hope a couple of the ideas that I share across this series might help. So in my last video, I was introducing this painting project, what it's all about. And just as a brief summary, in case you missed that one, this is a development painting series and all of the work I'm creating is going to be inspired by relationships with the coast. I love drawing on sensory experiences, memories of place, and for this project and for the last couple of projects I've done, I've used words as a starting point for my artwork and let that word inspire the colours, the atmosphere, the whole composition of the painting. In those previous projects I've made, it's always been about my own personal experience and relationships with places and landscapes. And I thought that this project would be a really nice opportunity to turn it around and invite other people to share their experiences with the coast. So I'd opened that up in my previous video and got an absolute wealth of responses, so I wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who left a comment with their memories or experiences. It was so beautiful to hear about all of your own relationships with the coast, a whole like spread of different experiences and feelings towards it. So yeah, it was really beautiful and absolutely great to hear how different the experiences were depending on where people are geographically in the world, with like submissions from like all over the place. So it's going to be really fun for me to try and interpret and work from. My next stage is to go through that video, collate all of those words and memories that you've shared with me into a document so that I can easily pull words out as I'm working and developing the paintings. I will say right now I have had so many, I think over 100 shared, and several of you gave me multiple words per comment, so I'm not going to be able to paint to every single submission, but what I'll do is I will draw the words out of a random name picker or out of a hat, so that I am not working from my own bias from words that I naturally would use anyway. I've entered all of the words that have been submitted into this generator, and we're going to see what it decides for us to paint today. So our word for the painting is mystery, and that's what I'm going to be using as my starting point for this painting. My favourite way to gather ideas is to start out with a mind map. It helps me clarify my thoughts and get ideas down on paper. Just now I'm having a think about the different things I could interpret, how the word feels, how it could be represented with different painting processes, everything that comes to mind initially. I'm also having a look at the paintings that I did in my last video to see if there's any elements or qualities from the materials, the colours, the way I've layered things which evokes a sense of mystery. There's three that I think particularly conjure up that feeling for me, elements of the painting anyway. Thinking about the layering, the combination of materials and some colours. So I decide to pull them out from the rest and pop them in front of me to help guide this painting forward. To
try and warm up and get some ideas down onto the page for composition, I do a quick couple of thumbnail sketches, super loose, hardly any detail in them, just to have a think about where things might go, how the composition might affect that feeling of mystery, and how I want the eye to be guided around the painting. I rarely ever use these compositional sketches as a direct reference for my paintings. They're more of a process to get ideas flowing and to lead me onto that larger painting. And then whilst I'm working, the composition kind of finds itself through the process. I decide to try and plan out some colours by asking myself the question, if mystery could be a colour, what colour would it be? And I write out the colours that come to my mind down on the sketchbook page too. When I think about mystery in relation to coastal landscapes, I'm automatically thinking about fog, about sea har, that mist that rolls in off of the water, and how it distorts your sense of perspective and distance. You can't really ever make out things clearly, and things are almost hidden and layered. They kind of come and go, passing and flowing as that mist is moving. That automatically makes me think that I need to really play with layering, coming up and down, exposing things and painting over them, pulling back, scratching, scraping. So right now I've decided that whatever I do as my first layer, it really doesn't matter because it's probably going to be entirely covered up. This is always such a freeing way to start, just to get stuck in and kind of go crazy. And so I decide to begin with really, really saturated colours. I'm planning for the following layers to be built up with lots more muted colours in different levels of opacities and transparencies, so that you'll see elements of these really bright colours peeking through, but they won't be quite so strong. I do definitely love starting with bright colours because I feel like it gives this injection of energy into the work, and from there you can kind of play with how loud or how quiet you want the work to be. Essentially, this layer is my underpainting. It's just got a little bit more texture in it than usual. If you'd like to follow this collection of paintings as it develops for even more behind the scenes, I'll be sharing that over on my Instagram, which is @OrlaStevens. If you watched my videos on YouTube before, you might have noticed that I am only working on one painting today. This is pretty unusual for me. My normal practice is to have lots of sheets of paper and work on 6, 8, 10, 12 paintings at a time. I usually do this so that I can generate ideas really, really quickly. But today I wanted to experiment and see if I could tune in with more focus into this one word. I also wanted to see what it was like to create a layer, step away for an hour, come back to it, add another layer, step away, and see if that coming and going of time away from the painting gives me some fresh eyes and perspective as I'm working. I just want to see how that feels for me. One thing I find really helpful when I'm trying to access more of a flow state is really taking time to tune into the inspiration and getting that kind of feeling set in my head. Personally, my work is quite focused on positive emotions, and maybe this is easier to do because of that. But the inspiration behind my work is all to do with nature and landscape, which you know, and It's really important part of my practice and my process to take myself to wherever I was being inspired by. I try and go there in my mind. It helps by watching videos back and looking at photographs, and then really spending a minute trying to get there in my head, trying to remember what I could hear, what I was doing, who I was with, what I could feel, what I could smell, and yeah, really taking myself back there. I think if you can practice taking yourself out of wherever you are and putting yourself back into that inspiration in your head, that could really help tune you into a bit more of a flow space.
I wanted to take a quick break from the video to say a huge thank you to my wonderful Patreon members and to quickly tell you a little bit about my Patreon page, the Outdoor Sketchbook Collective. This is an online learning space which I've been building out for artists all around the world to get together, to share their ideas, to work through new tutorials and be building through video and written guides. We also have a monthly Zoom meetup for Studio Play members to get together, work through a live workshop and have time to be able to chat and share our works. The tutorials are supported with a community chat so that we can share our works in progress, ask any questions and just have a bit more of a personal connection and back and forth. If you'd like to find out more about the 3 different tiers and what's included in those for the Outdoor Sketchbook Collective, I will leave a link to my Patreon page down below.
I think the main reason that I struggle to get into a flow state is when my mind is overly self-judgmental and critical, when it just won't shut up and it's telling me that whatever it is I'm doing is absolutely rubbish and it'll never amount to anything and I should just stop and quit. And of course, we all have this more often than we would like, and I think it's probably the main cause of creative block. One thing I'm currently experimenting with in the studio is trying to separate out my painting practice into 2 different modes of thinking. I'm going into the sessions with the understanding that I am going to be self-critical and analytical, but it's going to be in a very contained time frame. Outside of that time frame is the time for experimentation and play, and it's a time for just going crazy and trying out everything that comes to mind as and when. At the moment, I'm finding that knowing that I have the time to sit back and not judge my work, but look at it critically and figure out what's going awry and what I can improve on is kind of helping me get into that play state, because I know that I don't need to worry about making it good in that play state. I just need to get it done, get something down, and then I can sit back and go, I could add that, I could remove that, and then head back into that play state, do those things, and then come out, critique a bit more, and so on. To tune back into the word mystery that's inspiring this piece, I just wanted to share a couple of different things within the painting which I'm trying to explore to allude to that word and that feeling. So one thing which is ever inspiring me with coastal environments is the divide and separation that we have between what's above the water and what is below. And so I wanted to try and play with that in this composition, alluding to organic life forms with these crazy blooms in the acrylic and the bottom half, which I made just by spraying some bleach into the acrylic when it was wet. I absolutely love dramatic skies and the sea har and the mist that comes in off the sea. So I wanted to definitely pull that through the painting by playing with different translucent layers, bringing it up and scraping them back, so that you see hints of the colour from the original layers, but most of it is knocked back quite a bit, so it's much more subtle. I changed up the proportion of the colours to be much more dominantly cooler tones to try and connect back to that feeling of being immersed in the mist and not really being able to see things very clearly. For me, purples and pinks have this real sense of mystery. It's a colour I really strongly associate with that word. So I've tried to leave little glimmers of them in the horizon line. And last but not least, I've decided to leave just the hint of this really warm yellow just to contrast against so much cool tone, to bring a little bit of warmth and almost hope to the sense of cool mystery. In my next video, I'm going to be delving into a couple more ideas to find flow creatively. I'm always interested in learning more about this topic, so I would love to hear how you find flow down in the comments below. In next week's video, I'll be exploring a couple more words that you've shared with me about your relationships with coastal environments. So stay tuned to see which words get picked from the hat and how they turn out into a final mixed media painting. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you outside.